Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the closed session for the August 12th, 2026 HBCSD Board of Education regular meeting. Natalie, can you please take the roll call?
Board Member Van Landingham,
Present.
Board Member Cole,
Here, present.
Board Member Bove LaMonica, Vice President Clerk Cluth,
Present.
and President Barrow.
Present. Okay, members of the audience may address the board regarding closed session agenda items. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. Natalie, do we have any in-person requests to address the board?
We do not.
Any virtual?
No, we don't.
So with no comments, I'd like to adjourn to closed session and we'll return at 6 p.m. for open session. Good evening, everyone. Let's call to order the August 2026 regular meeting of the HBCSD School Board. Natalie, could you please take the roll call?
Board Member Van Landingham,
Present.
Board Member Cole,
Present.
Board Member Bovee LaMonica, Vice President Clerk Cluth,
Present.
and President Barrow.
Present. Okay, tonight, in closed session, the board took action to approve a settlement agreement in the matter of case numbers 2026050336 and 20260605657. The roll call for the vote for the approval was as follows. President Barrow, yes. Vice President Clerk Cluth, yes. Board Member Van Landingham, yes. Board Member Cole, yes. And Board Member Bovee LaMonica, yes. Also in closed session, the board took action to approve a settlement agreement in the matter of case number 202-601-0860. The roll call vote for the approval was as follows. President Barrow, yes. Vice President Clerk Cluth, yes. Board Member Van Landingham, yes. Board Member Cole, yes. Board Member Bovee LaMonica, yes. If everyone would please rise and join us for the flag salute. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries and agenda is approved. Okay, members of the audience may address the board on any topic regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may not discuss issues raised that are not listed on the agenda. Topics not on the agenda that are brought to the board's attention may be investigated by the administration and a report made to the board, either publicly or privately at a future meeting. Comments from visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. So we have one
That is correct.
request to address the board, and it's Alan Joffrey. So you can come on up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Come on up.
Hello,
Hi.
nice to see you all again. Good evening, members of the board and superintendent. I want to begin by thanking everyone on this board for their efforts over the past few months. Many of you have met with me, exchanged emails. For those of you that I have not exchanged emails with, no offense, random happenstances directed me to the people that I spoke to. I appreciate watching this board over the last 6 months. You've impressed me with your commitment to analyzing past practices and looking to what is in the best interest of our district and the children, particularly with the grade change structure that I saw a few weeks ago. I thought that was fascinating. I haven't been involved in school for 25 years, so seeing how much it has changed from ABCDF to what it is now, it was truly fascinating. So some of this doesn't make sense because I thought I was speaking later. So I've done some research throughout schools in Southern California, and here to speak tonight about the item on transitional kindergarten, if that wasn't clear. I have done some additional research even since last time I spoke here on transitional kindergartens, trying to find out what other school districts do. The answer is it's pretty difficult because a lot of school districts have not yet addressed this issue. And there's a variety of reasons that I understand from speaking to with some of them that they're hesitant to address this issue. The two main issues that come up seem to be equity issues and class distribution imbalance and size of why you don't really want to have a program allowing kids programmatically to delay TK. And I won't go into too much detail tonight because I'm going to run out of time quickly, but I don't think those concerns really apply as much here in Hermosa, given the amount of inter-district transfers that we have, and also, I hate to say it, the wealth of this community. Hermosa Beach, we are in a unique position to lead on this issue, even if neighboring districts have been slower to adapt. Crucially, we do not need to rewrite our foundational board policies. 6170.1, as you all have probably seen, already instructs for a case-by-case analysis of students. So it kind of comes down to two things that I think are going to have to be considered that I'd like to quickly address. I would appreciate a few extra minutes, given I'm the only person here tonight. But first, we obviously need to set up a standard of guidelines. And I want to be transparent. I really attempted to try to think through a way that is going to be provide the board the opportunity to truly analyze these kids on a case-by-case basis. The easy answer is obviously what a few school districts I've spoken to do, and that's closest to the birthday, they get to go first, as long as they meet the minimum requirements of signing up on time and filling out the necessary forms. Obviously, that is completely self-serving for me. As I've revealed, my son is a September 1 birthday, so he would be first in line. So I truly did try to struggle coming up with getting letters from doctors, getting letters from educators. But I think, and from speaking specifically with one of the school boards that has actually considered this before, they said we try to do this as well. And the
Let me
reality is,
interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
Is everybody okay with letting him go? Okay,
I won't even need that. Thank you
moved.
very much.
okay, just want to make sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
And when I spoke to the San Juan Capistrano Unified School District, they went through this process. And the reality they come up with is if there's a parent that really wants to delay start their TK child, they're going to be able to get a note from a doctor. They're going to be able to get a note probably from their preschool that they've been to for prior years. And by chance, probably have other kids that are coming through that system. There are going to be people that are looking to please parents, and they will give them these notes that will at least get them a base classification of it may be a good idea to delay start them in TK. And so they truly came up to the realization that there really may not be a fair system. I absolutely would encourage, and if Dr. Wilds and her team thinks that there is truly a fair way that they can analyze and make affirmative decisions of choosing one kid over another, power to you. And I am absolutely not here advocating against that. Just from my experience and speaking to the districts that have attempted, it seems like it is a bit of a fool's errand. You're going to have upset parents that their child was chosen over another child. And so they, from what I've seen, they have just gone, as long as you fill out the paperwork, first birthdays, they get to go first. The other thing that I think will naturally come up in this conversation is we do have some priority categories in the interdistrict transfers. And I'm going to swallow my pride a little bit here and say that I actually think children of teachers and staff members of our school district should have priority. These are people that, for all intents and purposes, they are members of this community. And we want to motivate them to be here. So part of that is attracting teachers, is telling them that we're going to do our best to get your children into our school system. I do put an end to it there. I do think, given there's the two other categories, that if you already have a sibling in the district, you get a priority. And also if you are an employee of the city, you get priority. Candidly, I will say my position would be that those should not have priority over delay start TK students for residents of Hermosa. And part of that comes down to the enormity of the amount of bonds that this city has taken out and is going to continue drawing on over the next decades, building the schools here. And I looked at my property taxes. I pay over $1,000 already to pay for the infrastructure of this school. And for that reason, I do believe that priority should be given to Hermosa residents if it is decided that delay start TK is in the best interest of children and some program is given up. One last point that I will draw that I've noticed in speaking to other school districts is that most of them do put a hard limit on it. Again, that is totally self-serving, because if my son was a May birthday and I was trying to get him in here, I probably wouldn't be sharing this, but I did note that most school districts that do have these delay start opportunities, they do cap it. It usually seemed like about June to September 1. So it really is this summer babies concept that they're looking to give the opportunity. Thank you for the extra time.
Thank you for speaking. Okay. Board member reports. So Maggie, do you have anything? Board member report? Okay. Okay. Jen,
I do not.
you do not. Carol?
I do not.
Jill?
I don't.
I don't either. Back to Maggie.
Hustle it up, Maggie. So I forgot. Supervisor Holly Mitchell invited me to speak on the panel last week that was hosted here in Hermosa Beach, the
Oh,
Racial
that-
Justice Learning Series. So
was
I
awesome.
spoke as a board member, representative of this entity on multiracial solidarity across District 2. It was a wonderful event. Thank you to Board President Kathy Barrow and Superintendent Dr. Wilds for coming out and supporting. It was a good showing from across the beach cities, and they do such a nice event. I encourage everybody to attend one of Holly Mitchell's events. They are really well done. So thank you.
And to add to that, I was proud to be your peer, your colleague there, because you did a great job. And then in Supervisor Mitchell's team, there's a former student of mine who was on the team. Kina Desai, she's going to be president of the United States at some point, but anyway, that's that. Okay, reports to the board and discussion. 45-day HBCSD budget revised update, Ms. Montalvo.
Great, thank you. We'll wait for the presentation. Thank you. Tonight I'm here presenting the 26-27 45-day revised update. The update reflects the most recent California state budget that was adopted at the end of June or July 1st, 2026, and the latest revenue assumptions for the district. The next slide. So the main changes that was included in the adopted budget of the state was the COLA, which was 2.87, and the super COLA of 1.44, which is an additional investment in LCFF funding and the paid pregnancy leave, or you're going to hear about it as PDL. They're going to call it PDL. There's some additional special education funding that we're going to get, $341 per ADA. And also a student support discretionary block grant of $930 per ADA. And that grant will bring in 1.29 million over the next 4 years. We'll have till June of 2029 to spend those dollars. So we're going to allocate it over multiple years. Next slide. Our assumptions continue to use the projected enrollment of 1455 with the ADA of 1389.63 for the 26-27 school year. STRS and PERS are staying STRS is definitely staying steady. PERS has gone up 0.3% for this next year. So our costs are continuing to increase. In January, we'll also have a welfare cap increase for all of our employees from $9,550 to $9,800. So that will allow employees to take advantage of more of the health benefits that we're offering. Next slide. So looking at our multi-year projections, the current year, we're remaining fiscally responsible and strong, as well as the next 2 years. There is one recommendation on the table that we would commit funds to the pregnancy disability leave, or PDL, in our budget so that we set aside funds to limit the physical impact to the budget on an annual basis. That concludes my presentation. Do we have any questions?
No, thank you just for putting that together for us, Paula, and what
Yeah.
we saw.
Always helps me.
Great,
to
I love
learn,
Mhm.
to learn. Okay, we're all good all around. Okay. The next is transitional kindergarten birth date criteria discussion.
Yeah, so just opening up, we wanted to make sure that we gave the board some time and space to kind of address this issue and kind of talk. Provided all of the information from the state as well as the surrounding districts, and then let you all kind of talk about the policy.
Now, how does this work? Do we just go down the line or just throw it
However,
out whenever
yep.
you're ready?
Yep.
Go ahead, Rachel. You look like you're ready.
I wanted to thank Dr. Wilds for continuing discussions about this. You're very amenable to what about this, what about that, what about this, and let's go back and look at numbers, and just the sustained attention on top
Mhm.
of the many things that you have on your
Thanks.
in front of you has been really gratifying as a board member. This is one of the first big policy issues, but real policy, substantive policy issues.
And this is a tricky one. I mean, Ellen is not wrong. This is a tricky one. And because of the so many different things to think about, the majority of, and especially in the greater South Bay, have said, we're not touching it, right? Because of the nuances, there's so many different pieces of it.
Yeah,
For me, to be honest, I finally had sometimes 2 + 2 just doesn't equal 4 for me for a while.
Mhm.
And 2 + 2 was not equaling 4 for me for a while. And I was stuck on the fact that I have an August child who turns 17 tomorrow. I hope you like your silver necklace. And he's an August baby, and he started here in kindergarten. We did not have a TK, and he started when he was 6, right? A few weeks after he turned 6. Like, well, we do it for kindergarten all the time. Why can't we do it for TK? It's just, if you picture the big snake, it's just the bubbles going down. going down further down the snake. But what I didn't fully grasp and appreciate is that we have no choice in kindergarten because of state law that says that they have to be in school by the time they're 6, period. Yet with TK, we have the discretion to be incredibly thoughtful and sensitive and considerate to the needs of the children per the age group, the age range that the state recommends. And that honestly took me a long time to finally come to grips with, is that here we do have choice and there are significant issues involved with it. And for me, one of the biggest issues was really the besides the mixed classroom, compensatory issues of having to pay teachers more because of the age gap in the classroom, the impact on the other children in the class. And so I really appreciate the thought and effort that went into this. So thank y'all.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit that you've dug into here, so thank you for doing that and doing all that due diligence. Sometimes I feel like for me, it's helpful for me to go think about where did we come from and why is it like it is right now? And I think about my oldest, who 12 years ago was going into or 13 years ago was going into kindergarten. And it used to be a December 1st cutoff here. So the year she went into kinder, they moved it. They just made the decision to align with every other state, not every other, but most other states, so that we didn't have kids that were too young going into college. So they decided to move to September 1st, like 2/3, whatever the number was of states. So that year they moved to November 1st. The next year they moved to October 1st. The next year they moved to September 1st. And
Right.
so that is where TK was born from, because now you had kids with a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old that were thinking they were going to kinder. So TK, and Dr. Wilds, jump in if I've got this wrong at any point, TK became if you are born between September 1st and December 1st, because you were that impacted group,
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
do TK.
So
So we had maybe a class of
Yeah.
TK.
It was truly just to fill the gap
Years.
as the state pulled back the birth date for September.
And then it kept being that 3-month or whatever period for years
For years.
until quite recently when it became a full year program. So maybe 3 years ago, it became a full year thing. It wasn't that long ago.
We pulled the Band-Aid off. We only became the full 4 by September 1. Just last year was the
Okay,
first
so very
year that we
recently.
got to see the impact of birth dates all
Right.
around. The state number, then they basically ripped it off 2 months at
Yeah.
a time.
Okay.
It's taken a while to get here.
Okay, so I just bring that up because I think it's beneficial to sort of think about as we're thinking about next steps and how this all rolls out, that the initial intent for TK was that small group of kids that were going to go to kinder, but now are not going to kinder. And then, of course, it became great for these kids. We have lots of kids that will benefit by being in TK in the state, so let's keep expanding that.
And important to note, the governor's program, universal preschool. So it's called universal, it kind of shifted. So it's got actually kind of 2 names. It's transitional kindergarten, but it's called under what's called the universal preschool program. So
Right,
preschool
right.
for all.
Right. So I was just thinking about it in terms of that, and thinking about it in terms of, knowing from my own daughter and my own kids, just, there's a 3-year-old in a classroom with someone who's a year older. That's a big age to have a big gap like that. And we now have gone from maybe a dozen, I don't know, Sylvia would probably remember, but however many kids were in that first TK class to 4 classes. How many classes of TK do we have
This
now?
year we have 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
6 times 24.
it's changed a lot. That's all
Wow.
I had.
Thanks for that historical perspective. I really, well, I am older, so this is very, very beneficial to have all this information, and I really like hearing the history, so we'll move on to Jen.
Well, it just, because it's interesting, because when I was an elementary school principal at the time, and it was at a charter school where we had TK and kinder and first grade, that was like our starter group. And I definitely was coached as a principal at the time. Hey, do some input, like get some input from the parents. When were they born? Are they a boy or a girl? Because the maturity level of boys is much different than the maturity level of girls at that age. And remind people that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a marathon to get through school. So there's no rush anywhere. So I also took that on myself like Carol did, and I delayed Carter's kindergarten experience by a year. So Carter goes to school and he's one of the older kids in the class. And I think that's fantastic for boys and fantastic for him. He's more mature. He handles himself a lot better. I still see it at age 19. He is more mature and handles himself better than the majority of his friends that he's in the same class with. But but he was also in class with 17-year-olds, or six, like kids a year and a half younger than he was, because one of his best friends wasn't turning his age for a whole year past him. So because he stayed back, right? And that parent, it was kind of a movement. In Redondo, kids went in early, like on the right time, and in Manhattan Beach and maybe in Hermosa, but in Manhattan Beach, a lot of kids were delayed.
It did hop, yeah.
So that was just like what it was happening 20 years ago. And especially in my school too. At the kinder level, there wasn't TK, it wasn't TK, and there was TK in our charter school, but there wasn't TK in the typical public school yet. Then that came. Then it was like you had to really watch the birth date. Then there was like a really great, I was like, hey, you really should consider TK as an option, because TK would just like give you this extra year of growth. It's amazing. But what I see now, the rules are really more hard and fast. And I looked at this and I was like, thinking about, should we consider it by each kid? And I'm like, okay, let's look at what the other schools did. And so Susan went ahead, as you said, and like looked at 11 other districts around here, including Beverly Hills, Fountain Valley, and then Culver City and San Juan Capistrano. And so I think did a really good analysis on what do other kids do? What do other districts do in the same situation?
Right.
And every single one but two said no, they don't. And the reason that they don't is like we've already talked about, it's like the age span is too vast. So I think the other option, because I do think it's important to, like, some kids are just not as mature as other kids, and we see that, but you can't really tell. I find, as a former elementary school principal, you just see that over time. You have to let them marinate a little in school. So I'm like, get them into TK, let them marinate in TK. You can make a decision in TK. Is that kid not advanced enough, or do they need to just do another year? Do they go to kindergarten? They go TK kindergarten. We go to kindergarten and you're like, you know what? They're not ready yet. You can hold them back in kindergarten, and kids don't even notice. So to me, I'm like, I don't know if I would, I'm concerned about if we change our whole policy based off of like a parent, just a parent need and a student best with it may be what's best for the student at the end of the day. But I think we can determine that in kindergarten. I wouldn't determine that probably up front.
One just important note, the CDE schools only get funding for 2 years in this TKK band. So a student can do 1 year TK, 1 year K,
Right.
or you can do 2 years in K. But if a student does 1 year in TK, 1 year in K, and then wants to repeat K, we don't get funding for that third year. Just important to know.
Right.
Yeah.
But that may be the best thing for that child.
Mhm.
So, but if they went to first grade, you would still get funding? So I just feel like what I've observed over time with the thousands, it feels like thousands of students, or at least hundreds of students that we've been involved with, is people just are so different at 2, 3, 4, 5. They mature differently when they start getting socialized in school. They understand different things. I'm always surprised. That's just.
Since we're just giving our opinions on things.
It is board discussion, right?
How else?
Like, what else do you want to do?
How else do you do a discussion? That's my question.
Yeah.
I know, it's just tough. So I went back, and the way I was approaching this was, one, what's the purpose of TK? Like, why do we even have it, right? And I think there's probably some murky political reasons why we have it from the governor's office, but in practicality, it was meant to create an additional year of education readiness for our youngest learners, right? So it's meant to put them on a formal pathway with social, emotional, some curriculum, and also a more supervised level of play. As a parent of a just recent TKer moving into kinder, I think we've done a great job at the district. And this was, out of my 3 kids, the only one who had a TK experience, and the rest were in a Montessori approach. So my brain is thinking about like Montessori approaches with a wide age span isn't terrible, right? Like I watched it, at least from my personal parental experience. There are benefits to it. And the trade-offs in a Montessori approach to multi-grade level is the amount of staffing it requires in a classroom because of the wide range of ages that are there. From 3 to 5 is a big range, and there can be different levels of maturity and readiness within that band that just require different levels of support. So I'm mindful of the trade-offs and impacts, one, to our staffing level, knowing that my son required a high level of supervision this past year and a lot of hands-on support. And then thank you so much, Dr. Wilds, for putting in place a recommended, like a possible decision matrix if we were to go this route and consider what it looks like to have, you know, a range of dates that could be added into it. I'm also mindful of the fact it's another administrative burden of like assessing a student in what's maybe a 20 to 40 minute process, maybe just call it an hour of district time from a very limited staff who has to go and work through another assessment of a piece. So I think those are the 2 trade-offs that I'm thinking of. At the same time, knowing that we could have a child come into kinder at 6, like that is a possibility, and that would be the same thing as having a TKer at 5, right? So knowing that that same kind of age range happens by law naturally, like for me, I am open to the possibility of looking at this matrix piece, knowing that there's an impact to how it could fiscally impact us for time for the administrators, time for the teachers. September 1st is arbitrary, right? I have an August 2nd birthday kid. Could have done so many things. Definitely wasn't ready for school. So knowing that there are those trade-offs in how we think about it, I'm open to thinking through, like, if there is a range, you know, a month before, a month after, that we implement this assessment process. Like, I think you didn't put the data in this chart, Dr. Wilds, but I think you showed one other where we had like the number ranges, and they were so small of who could possibly be implicated if a parent wanted a review process that it looked like it was under 5.
So it's ranged. So I did post. So
Yeah.
in my opinion, if you wanted to just look at the month of September,
Mhm.
right? I think going any further, if you knowing just looking
Yep.
at past data, you open up 1-2 months to
Yep.
be even
It's a whole different
considered.
kid. Yeah.
That's a whole nother class,
Yep.
right? You know what I mean? We could possibly be looking at,
Yeah.
you know. So if you only looked at September, we average anywhere between, over the last few years, kids in the September birthday, it could be as low as like 6, it could be as high as like 14, right? Who
Right.
have those, who fall in that window. We don't really know who's going to, you know, come in,
Take it. Yeah.
come in the
Who'd want to
future.
do that? Right.
Interestingly, you can pull birth rate data. So I can actually kind of see what birth rate data happened in Hermosa during 4 years ago. You take that data with a grain of salt because people come and come and
Right.
go. But yeah, you know, and so that's what I wanted to,
Mhm.
if the board said we would want parents to apply
Yeah.
for appeal, I just feel, I feel strongly you would have to have something
Yep.
in order to say, is this a good choice versus, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where I was going. That I think there is a possibility for an appeal process. I think the chart, which is a research-backed chart that goes through this eligibility piece, I think it's a really good eligibility criteria piece to see if there is fit, and it has a measurement that allows us to create a cutoff. Like, thank you so much for your appeal. Yes, your child would be a good fit for that because they've met all these criteria, or no, actually they're really ready for kinder. And that might seem scary, but let's have that conversation instead, right? If you're a first-time parent, you really don't know, you've never raised a child before, you're just guessing. So I think there is a path to put an appeal process in based off of that chart.
Are you gonna, do you have your?
No, I'm
opinion?
good.
So we just ask questions?
Yeah.
So just in that, Maggie, my question would be, there are things out there that parents can do and talk to, and people, both your pediatrician, your preschool teacher, the school itself, regional center, a lot of other resources in the community, in our communities, that are public, free,
Mhm.
or may cost you money if you're that, if you're concerned, that you can get that, you can do all this. Separates from the caregiver, cooperative playmates. You don't need the school to do this, in my opinion. And so I feel like I'm concerned that I don't disagree. Obviously, I did it with my own child, so I understand. Like I really empathize because I'm like, oh, but I feel like there is a process out there before you get to TK, a public process that we could encourage. I mean, every family, if they're really wanting to know.
Mhm.
Because I mean, has playmates, shares materials, wait to turn, resolves conflict
So
appropriately.
Jen, to clarify, so a parent comes in, their kid misses the birthday. We say we don't have an appeal and instead we'd like you to do X.
A parent comes in and says, say it one more time.
And say, we missed the birth, right? It's a
Yep.
September 2nd birthday.
And so how, like, are we talking someone that's going to be like, is
Yeah.
4 already, or someone who's younger than 4?
Somebody who would be kinder eligible who wants to be in TK by age.
Okay. So they come to the school.
And I'm just saying, like, so are you saying that we refer somebody out to a pediatrician to do an assessment and then we take them in, or we just don't take them and there is no appeal? That's what I'm trying
Well, I don't feel like there should, I mean, I'm not sure that we're setting ourselves up to have an appeal would be a good idea. Like, I'm just saying, as a parent,
Mhm.
there's some things, I think you can go and assess on your own with like, this is just public knowledge. You can take this, you can get the screening rubric online. This is not, you know what
No,
I
I
mean?
hear
And so you can say, before you come to August
Mhm.
or let's say June or
Right.
May or February, and you're going to enroll your child in school.
Right.
You can be like, okay, I'm really concerned. I do have some concerns. Okay, what are my concerns? Who should I talk to about these concerns? As the district, we can encourage you to be like, hey, just double check. Like, I mean, don't just trust us. Like, go talk to your pediatrician, go talk to regional center, go talk to your preschool teacher. There's a lot of resources. What I'm hearing is, yeah, we should have an appeals process, but I'm like, there are rules out there. 11 other districts agree with us that there's rules. The government has put in rules for a reason.
Well, the
whether-
government has said it's local discretion.
And so, but
Right, and
we've
so-
said why we think that would be a good idea, right? We think that would be a good.
We just have a rule that says we agree with a cutoff.
Right,
but
but
it
the
could-
reason is because you would potentially have a kid who's 3 years and 11 months old
Mhm.
to 5 years old
Yep.
in a TK class,
Yes.
and then those kids keep going,
Yes.
matriculating over time, and so you're going to have this big age span, and when you're in 5th grade and you're 10,
Mhm.
that's a real difference.
But the difference is it's already permissible by law to have that age span once they hit kinder. Because you can have a 6-year-old in kinder. So what I'm saying is the age span that we set up for kinder is, yes, it's
Yeah.
6 in kinder.
Was my point originally was that we have no choice in kindergarten. That's why
Right.
Vance, whose birthday is tomorrow, he is an August 13th baby. I did not start him in kinder because he wasn't ready yet. I waited until he turned 6. Then by law, I had to put him in, and Hermosa Beach had.
We would,
had
if
to
they've
take-
never been in kinder before, and they come in and, say Van turns 6 on September or August 10th,
But was
right?
TK an option for you, Rachel?
No, because we
Right.
didn't have a
So
TK,
TK
but
is an option though.
But
So,
here's the idea that if I had TK option here, I would have approached the district and said, instead of paying what I paid for Montessori, even though I loved it, I would have said, can I come to TK? If
Totally.
they would have said no, because we have the discretion here to be thoughtful and we think the impact on our students within that age range. I don't know how arbitrary September really is. I thought that was actually based on some kind of empirical data, but regardless, if I was told no, then I would keep them at Montessori,
Mhm.
right? And so there would still be that age gap in
Yeah.
kindergarten. It's still going to be there. This really
Mhm.
isn't going to change
Change
that
that.
because a parent like me that really wants it, or like you,
Mhm.
we would have said, we're going to keep them in Beach
Right.
Baby
Right.
or Montessori. So it's really about, is this a good idea that when we do have the discretion here, we could say all August and July babies. So that's only adding a 2-month differential,
Mm.
right? So we're already going to have the age gap that's already extant because of the state's recommended rule, dates. So if we say we're going to add 2 more months to that, is that, how many kids is that going to be? Do we want to put, and if we're going to do that, are we going to put in a screening assessment? Or will it be, well, my kid's, he could do either way. However, all this, there's quite a bit of research out there that shows by the time he's in 2nd grade, that age gap is going to make a big difference. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much of the verbal up into the kindergarten is relevant here versus what is the impact on our
Mhm.
teachers? What's the impact on our current students?
Mhm.
And can we really anticipate how many are going to come in? How many can we afford to come in? And I really appreciated Mr. Allen's comments about the permitting, because I don't see the permitting being an issue. We always, we
Yeah,
give
that
priority
didn't seem
to
to,
our-
yeah, I appreciate
And I
that, but
appreciate him bringing
doesn't
that up,
seem-
but we give priority to our this
staff.
is not because we
Yeah.
want to keep set the age range for some other permitted students. This is truly about what is in the best
Mhm.
interest
Of the
of the
child.
current TK.
Mhm.
Right, knowing that their parent can keep them out and then they'll come in when they're 6 in kindergarten. And can we afford it with the teachers? Are we going to have to, because we do have more greater state regulation based on the age of the kids in this, of the TKers. So for me, it was much more nuanced than I ever appreciated in the fact that here we do have the discretion. We're still going to have the age gap in kindergarten.
Mhm.
That's going to happen. Yep. And so do we have enough here?
Doesn't
Because what
happen
I-
as much anymore? I don't think it happens as much anymore.
Well, that's what we were trying to figure out, but, and I did want
Really
to come
hard to
back
pull
to
the data.
matrix.
It's really hard to pull the data to go back and see how
We can't
many.
look at kindergarten data in terms of birthdays. We probably could run that, right?
Yeah, but it's, I could run historical, how many kids were sick, turned 6 in August, you know what I mean? Like, I think sorry. How many months do you want? We can pull birthday data. We don't necessarily, did they turn 6 in August, September, October? When in the month of kindergarten did they turn 6 to determine whether they were redshirted or held back? Held out.
Run the numbers as anecdotally based on like Van's class. He has, I mean, there were 5 boys in his kindergarten class that started at age 6, right? But that was how many?
yeah.
12 years ago. And so I think we can get some, but not all those parents are going to want to do that. And just because we're doing it in kindergarten because we have to, are we willing to accept the impact here where we don't have to? And I have a concern with doing a matrix regarding, if a parent disagrees with the matrix, are we going to get a lawsuit? Are they going to come back in and say, well, our personal physician said that our kid does meet these factors. Therefore, I'm just worried in the fact that I just feel like there's greater collateral consequences here and we have the choice. And I'm just not sure. If we were going to go to it, I would want a strict, it's only for, if September 1st is arbitrary, then we can pick another arbitrary date like July 1st of that summer. So then it's only 2 months of those birth dates. And then on top of that, are we going to still add the matrix? Or are we just going to say, if a current Hermosa Beach family wants a child who has the August birthday, which it seems to be, do we let them in?
I'm an absolute no on that. We would be as slippery, everyone would come here to go to school and redshirt their kid.
Yeah.
That is what they would.
So the law requires if you turn 4 on or before September 1st, we have to offer you TK, right? So we are beholden to all residents whose child turns 4 by the birth date, right? So you got to think about how many spaces do we have? Next year we have 5 TK classes, that's 120 spaces. How many residents fall into that birth date range? Those we have to guarantee. And again, it's an unknown number because TK is just so murky to predict, but how many spaces, 120 spaces? Say you have 100 in Hermosa residents, that leaves about 20 spaces. So I guess the question is then how do you determine who those 20 spaces go to, right? That would be for would it just be by parents, anyone who turns 5 in the month of basically August, right? Because those would be they're kinder eligible. Would you open it up? Then what if you have 25? Do you lottery them? Do you have I think those are some really clear protocols you'd have to establish if you wanted to give the superintendent authorization to consider on a case-by-case basis.
I'm just trying to remember back to that time period, when you have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old going to school, I'm just thinking back to like a TK versus kinder. It's like that it's so great to have this TK option,
Yes. Yeah.
and so I just don't feel like even with the kids all coming in, I remember meeting the kids and meeting their parents and being like, learning about them, learning when their birthday was, and maybe there's some things that happened at birth or things that happened along the 4 years they've been on in this earth. and then being able to kind of decide with their parents, like what the best place was for them. That I think is that at the time, again, 20
Yeah.
years ago, that was a smart thing to do.
And we
'cause there
also
was
had,
the space.
and I don't know whether Hermosa had it, but I do know in Redondo, we had something called developmental kindergarten.
That's what we had.
And that's what we had, we had DK, which did give us that flexibility, right? Because you could, there was no age requirements. So kind of back to Carol's point, TK was developed as this stopgap.
But I just feel like
right?
there is this TK thing now. And so now TK is a thing for us. And if your kid is ready to go to TK, they should be put in TK. If they're not ready to go to TK, they should just, I don't know, if there's other concerns,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think the school can help you with some of the other concerns. Like if you need to go to, if you're seeing like you're 2 and you're like, oh, maybe I need to go.
Younger, we're talking about 5
Older.
Yeah.
Olders who want to stay in
TK, that's the
So
issue.
instead of doing another year of preschool,
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah.
sending them to,
And so that's why you're looking at an older span. It's just,
But that's not what we're talking about.
That's what we're
here.
talking about.
That's
No,
exactly.
I know, but we're also talking about whether.
Younger. We're not taking anybody under the age of 3 and 11.
Yeah, the law says absolutely not.
We're not taking anybody
You
younger.
have to be, you
This is
cannot be
looking at a
younger. It
5
would
and
just
6
be
younger.
for families who are,
Decide to do TK instead.
Exactly.
It's if Cole had TK as an option, would you put him in, waited that same year that you waited for kindergarten? Or just, you waited?
If I did, if TK was an option, TK just wasn't an option.
Right,
That's
but
what I'm like,
had been an
but
option,
TK
would
is
you
an
have,
option now.
right, but it's not an option right now for kids like Cole and Van who had August birthdays, that per our own policy. Well, that's what we're debating. Should it be the policy? that
Right, and
we're
I just feel like there's not that many of those kids. It's just like, I'm not sure I'd develop a policy about it.
That's
So-
where I'm confused because I'm hearing mixed messages from you and maybe it's my small brain. Because I thought you said you're a hard and fast no on expanding the 2 months for the birthdays, but yet you're willing to say, oh, maybe there are kids that are.
No, I just said
biggest
there's not.
babies.
It could be though,
Still
on any given year.
Well, like, there's not that many kids. I'm like, just don't teach. Why are we gonna create a policy for it?
Yeah. 16.
And so we would do what? We would give them the option?
Well, so that's where these pivot points are, right? Like, do we go along with the other districts and just create a hard no? Right? There's no appeals. Or do we are we giving guidance for them to explore appeal process for certain criteria? Like, those are really the pivot points, I think, that the superintendent's looking for direction from in terms of what we're thinking and feeling. Like, are we okay with being a no? And because of this community, they can figure it out? And that's a parent's choice to go figure it out? Or do we look, because it's a limited number, to do an appeal process?
But
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
saying, hey, everybody, we're changing it. It can be for these 2 months. We're
Right.
just saying, no, the start date is still September
Yes.
1st. But on a case-by-case basis, based on the following criteria, we'll allow for consideration for those who have the July and August birthdays. I still think we can't keep it
yeah,
open-ended.
I would say July and August. I would narrow it even more because that
Yep.
could be as much as
Whatever
30
date,
kids.
that
Yeah.
we just need
yeah,
a narrowing it.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
that
it's
could be
again, it's
fun.
not,
Be
we're saying
within-
it's.
Could be within 10 days of the
Right.
September one. It could be within
Right.
20. I do think you need to narrow it a little bit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
honestly, like, I just like going back to like pregnancy things, like you're considered late if you're more than 7 days, right? Like if your due date is more than 7 days past your, very unpredictable due date,
Which
right?
is-
Like then you're already like in a crisis mode. So like, I do think there is probably like a 10-day window that you could look at because
But don't you think that like someone else will be like, well, that's silly. You just arbitrarily did those 10 days.
Yes,
Like,
we're always
I mean,
gonna
it's just
have,
like
we
the
may
slippery
always
slope
gonna
is
yes,
there.
I think there's an arbitrariness to all of
Yes.
this.
I know,
There's an
but there
arbitrariness-
isn't. I know, but there is, but now there's some rules and there's some
It's local
guidelines.
discretion. It's local discretion. So there
No,
is.
but we do have like local discretion of 11 other school districts that are, I think, have had some similar situations come to their door.
And I'm sure they did it
And
because
probably-
they didn't want to burn an administration and they thought it was too much for TK to handle. There's really good reasons for us to say no.
Well, and
Because
the
there's
extra
open-
classes and the
Yes.
extra staff and the extra cost,
There-
right?
there's
There's that.
reasons.
And
Yeah.
do we have the space?
Yeah, because you are looking at the Ed Services Department who'd have to do this work, right? So
And
It would be-
again, it's like, I want to do it if it's
Yeah,
the
it's
best thing for the
us.
kid.
Yeah.
I do understand if it's the best thing for the kid,
Yeah.
the student, I really do. I empathize with that.
Yeah.
There are just other options though.
yeah, you could repeat kinder. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can repeat kinder.
You can repeat a grade. It's like, we
They
can't.
do not
set
have
it
to
for
start
that.
kinder. They can start kinder at any point, right? So
They have to start by age.
that wasn't a
Right.
question, that was a statement. Sorry, I
I'm
did
sorry.
the Canadian.
But Carol.
Question mark at the end.
It would be, if you are looking for someone who separates from the caregiver, cooperative play, playmates,
Yep.
you need to be in school. So you shouldn't be waiting to go to school.
Yeah, you should be starting kinder
starting-
instead of TK.
You should be starting TK, right?
Well, this is about,
Let's
would
just
you
say you
put them in
waited.
TK instead of kinder, though? This is, they are turning 6 in August, and I want to start them in TK instead of kinder. Or 5, sorry, I said 6, I meant
Because
5.
6-year.
Yes, but they are old enough to start TK or kinder,
Kindergarten.
but you want them to start TK instead.
So exactly Cole or Van
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
August.
It's expanding the range of TK upwards to allow, and
Maybe a month or 2 months
Yes.
older kids. So that's not the hard and fast September 1st.
So
bad month
just
yet.
to clarify,
I-
Kathy, this is just, sorry,
ahead.
this is my own misunderstanding. This is just discussion, though. We're not actually voting.
We're
on
not
it.
voting on it.
Yeah.
And I agree with Susan in that we can't do 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 days, 20 days at the most, because then we open up this can of worms of,
Yeah.
and
I
every
mean,
year it's going to be different. And I think that's.
Yeah, to Alan's point, parents can go get a doctor's note, or you could, you know,
and
there
then our
has to be
staff has
something.
to evaluate them or get, assess the evaluation. I think it's kind of,
I think that the reason the 2 months came up is because that's the one school district that has opened it up and they made theirs August and July.
okay.
And I think that only anecdotally, because we don't have the numbers, anecdotally, what I see just amongst the other boys, it's primarily boys, it's the August babies. And I know I would be very upset. Van's August 13th. So if you told me it's only 10 days, I would be like, come on. Because
I
he
was
would have
August
this at my
28th.
13th.
I was August 28th.
Right, yeah, but for girls, but I mean, we
I-
really
I
are
hear you.
talking boys.
I hear you. I hear you.
Right, and so that's why, I mean, I know any date we set is in some essence going to be arbitrary. We have. to make
Everything's going to be
something happen.
arbitrary. Yeah.
I would just advocate, if we're going to do this, let's not do it 10 days. Let's do it the full month of August, because that seems to cover the majority. That,
So we're just gonna play devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
So, because
Yeah.
that's my job, right? So devil's advocate, you get a year where 15 families in the month of August and July want to do this. You do not have 15 spots, right? Because you have to prioritize the age range.
Let's go 8 months prior to August.
It just means
is
we're
a
not
holiday
taking
time period.
permits.
You're gonna have more babies.
Yeah, yeah.
so that's why I
Right.
was really hoping we would have the numbers, because just anecdotally again, but it was the only thing I could do. It's 5 to 6 boys in August that are starting our kindergarten at age 6. It is not this huge number.
Yeah.
I do hear you though,
Yeah.
that maybe we'd get inter-district
Yeah.
permitting.
No, I'm just,
Not
I
like
like,
once, but-
yeah, when I think through programs and plans, I like to make sure I have a contingency for worst case scenario, right? Like, right? So what if, right? So I don't want to be caught off guard. We have 120, 115 residents in the, and I only have 5 spots. Then you get down to, how do you do it? Do you first come, first serve? Do you, Rochambeau, like what, a lottery? Do you, or do you have criteria? It is a slippery, it is just important to note, if you have a student who has like an August, July birthday, they will be in a class with a student who's 3 years and 11 months, right? So one of the things that we have seen this year in our classrooms, now that you have the full 12-month, it is a window. I'll be honest, it is a window of TK, and I want to applaud our TK team because they have kids who have toileting needs, and then we have kids, right? It is, and when we think of a year, there's a year in kinder, there's a year in first, there are, but the younger you are, a month makes a lot of difference. And when I meet families and they'll say, well, I just don't know if my child is ready, and these are conversations in February, I say, do me a solid. Please don't make this decision, because the child you have in August is going to look very different than the child you have in February, right?
Yep.
So I just think it's develop size. There's so many factors: size, social, emotional, readiness. But we will have 3 years and 11-month kids in this room.
Sure.
And so, how much more do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? And I would say, just knowing how hard our TK teachers have worked, Maggie has seen it with her, this is really the first year we had a 12-month span, and which I really, I applaud, the team making the decision to have 2 aides and a teacher because we needed all hands on deck,
Yep.
right? We needed it. We needed that extra set of hands versus the 20 to 2. We went 24 to 3, and it was very necessary because of toileting needs, because of the other things. So it's just, sometimes it seems like only a month or 2 months, but we remember we got I say floor ceiling. If the ceiling gets higher, the floor is still there. So just something to think about.
A
for us.
procedurally question.
Yeah.
This is our discussion.
It's discussion.
And so then we're going to vote on it eventually?
We're not going to
No.
vote. Well, we'll,
We could make a motion to bring it back as an agenda item
Okay,
at board roundtable.
okay,
yes. Yeah.
You need a majority of the board to bring it up
as an agenda item. I
item.
got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And you can direct staff to go get more information. You can direct us to,
Okay.
I would be
just
interested to
direct
know.
Sylvia. No, I'm just
Like, I feel like we could probably pretty easily in Power School pull our record of birthdays in August for the last, let's just say 5 years.
Yeah.
How many birthdays?
I can
How
pull
many
August. How many kindergartners turned, so this is the math that was really, it was confounding me with, when I was talking to Rachel. How many kindergartners in the year turned 6 in August, turned 6 in July, turned 6? So I could pull that.
Just so we
just
can
take-
see, I just am
this might take
curious,
me a minute, yeah,
again, because
yeah.
it's like, there are certain months that have more births because there's.
Not
just
every
so-
year, is
Yeah.
it every year?
Say there's probably consistency.
Yeah.
I would
That
guess.
would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, August and September tend to be high, some tend to be a little bit lower. I can pull it. Just
So
give,
we
I
are
would say
like-
give me a little while because I got to work with Vicky to pull some spreadsheets. Yeah. Now you're asking too much. No, I'm just
Can
kidding.
I just
I
ask
will-
one
yeah, no
other
problem.
question?
Yeah.
Is like legally, like
Yeah.
if you provide a screening rubric, of course, we would need to get it, I guess, like legally approved, that it's a legally sound
The
screening rubric?
way I read board policy is that the board can direct staff to create their own
Okay.
protocol.
So then if we have this screening rubric and someone disagrees with our screening rubric, what recourse do we have as a district if we're
Well,
like
it's a s-
disagree? Does it matter? I mean,
It's the same thing we have right now. If somebody disagrees with board policy, they disagree with board policy.
Yeah.
Right? Like they can come and petition the board to change board policy. But if our policy is, for instance, let's say the board agrees that having a slight window of appeal is the right course, then we would direct staff to create a criteria for that appeal. Same thing we do for permits, right? We directed staff, and if somebody doesn't like our permit criteria,
Too bad.
You can,
bad, right? Like we have a criteria and it's either you meet the criteria underneath the superintendent's discretion, which
Yeah.
it is right now in board policy, superintendent discretion,
yes.
right? And so that is, so I hear you, Rachel, like, could it be dangerous? Probably, but
Yeah.
we have
Let me-
discretion already written into our rules.
Yeah, so let me give you an example of discretion, right? So we've, and this was many years ago, same thing, you've got these hard and fast rules. We had a student who had pediatric cancer, that cancer and cancer they had a birth date that made them eligible for the next grade. We, based on cancer treatments and all of the different, was severely impacted. We made the choice to use discretion to put them, right, to kind of override the birth. So things like that can occur, but it was rare, and we really did have in that case, we actually pulled a healthcare team together, and we kind of took a look at this child had some severe toileting need, right? So we felt like socially for the whole child, we could better meet their needs in TK.
And that makes
could we do
sense.
that? I mean, could we wait until, like, I mean, I'm just making this up,
Right.
whatever. I don't know the age of Mr. Allen's
Yeah,
son
yeah.
or daughter. I don't know if it's a daughter or son.
Yes.
Anyway, your child,
Son,
and you wait
yeah.
until you get to August and be like, let's discuss, like, let's really see where they're at versus, I can't tell if this is just we haven't had this discussion
Yeah.
before. So is it something we can provide for an individual and just be like, let's give you our best
Possibly.
education assessment? And
Yeah.
meanwhile, he can also take his child to regional center, take his child, ask questions to the preschool teacher, talk to the pediatrician. get
So
their
for me,
advice. I don't
though,
know.
I thought this is more, and this is again, going back to some of our earlier discussion with Mr. Allen. There's significant research out there. You're not going to know, looking at your 5-year-old, whether or not it's appropriate to hold them back essentially, or to not start yet. It's how they're going to be when they're in second grade is really
Mhm.
where you're going to see the impact of starting them later. So I'm not, if we're going to change the current policy, because I thought really this is a discussion about Dr. Wilds already has the discretion right now of using a rubric, not using a rubric, of allowing a child who has an August birthday or July birthday to come in if it was within her sound discretion, she decides it's the best interest of the school and that child. But so I thought we were looking at changing the policy to say, no, it's a hard and fast no, because we're going to be compliant with the state's birthday, just period. So we're going to basically an option of removing the discretion. That's one way our policy could go.
I thought we
Or
did.
we
Do
could-
you have discretion in our policy?
No, our policy right now says superintendent discretion. It actually is the same language that it uses for kindergarten. And we don't, but in kindergarten, we don't have a choice because state law says if they're 6, they have to be starting school. So the discretion is really kind of, yeah, oh, that's right. You're right. You're right.
But the state of California allows parents, so if a child has started kindergarten and the parent feels they're not ready for first grade, the state of California allows those parents to sign, it's called a kindergarten continuance form that, so then they would do the second year of kindergarten. That form is really important for our auditors because that's one of the things that they come and look at. So we do have that.
But I was asking that if, as part of our deliberation and discussion and consideration, if we're going to consider allowing, like the appeal, I want to know a little bit more about, I honestly don't think this is the rubric of looking at the child where they are now, because I think most of the science for young men is based on how they're going to be in a few years. Van seemed wonderful to start kindergarten when he was, 2 weeks after he turned 5. I am so glad we didn't, right?
How can
And
you
so,
predict that?
well,
How they
there's science out there. There's significant research out there that shows that the younger the child, that's the behavioral issues and the maturity issues really become more evident when they're like in second grade. But
Right.
that's what I'm just bringing up. I'm not sure I like the validity of assessing them where they are right now versus I think for many parents, the August babies, it's where they're going to be in a few years. Right, which is why if I had had a TK option here and I was told no, I would have still kept him in the Montessori because I strongly believe that he did not need to be starting, kindergarten 2 weeks after he turned 5. I wanted to wait till he was 6, just based on that research. But again, that's research from over a decade ago.
All right, so what's next? We've all voiced our.
So what I would say is give staff a couple weeks to put together some of the data that you want.
Have another
And
discussion.
then I'll provide that information in a Friday update. And then if someone wants to bring it, they
And
can.
then
you
we
know.
can move at that
Or you-
point.
Or you can, decide that our policy as is provides discretion to the superintendent, so. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very much. It's a hard topic because we all have our personal,
Very complicated.
we all have our
Yeah.
personal stories.
I mean, it's not surprising why districts have said absolutely not, no. It's really not surprising. It's very complicated.
But they absolutely know we could still have your discretion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So can we move on? Everybody good with us moving on? Okay. Superintendent report, Dr. Wilds.
Great. I have just 2 things really quickly. Some really pretty things that came in everybody's mailbox.
So gorgeous.
So the first one, I just want to point out, so we are doing, anytime we have big information to share with the community about Measure HV, so that is what we call the waves of progress. Hopefully it's not backwards. And what we try to do is in the waves of progress, we try to put all of our big milestones that we've hit to date. So we have on the Hermosa Valley project, we have fully completed our designs. Our designs are up, submitted, they are into DSA, they are currently under agency review. And that way we can start working on our permitting. And we believe, and one of the things we also like to put in the waves of progress is just kind of updating people when they might see construction, right? So we are currently anticipating some construction, some demo to start beginning spring 2027. And then we just reminded people what phase 1, because remember our bond program is a very nuanced because we're not getting all the money up front. So we had to phase it. So we're just reminding people what phase 1 and phase 2, And then at the bottom is a personal invitation. We would love, love, love for all of the Hermosa Beach community to come in. We have these beautiful interior design boards that our architects have put together. We're going to have large pictures of the renderings, and we would love people's feedback on all of our choices to date. Because just a reminder, while the plans are in DSA, things like interior designs and those kinds of things can absolutely change. So please come to Monday, September 14th in the multi-purpose room. That's this one. But the second one that we're super proud of is the state of the school. So we shifted. So prior, kind of post-COVID-ish, the district would hold these kind of state of the schools events, invite people in. What we have found post-COVID is people love information to go out to them as opposed to coming in. So big thank you to the team, Christine Diaz, for helping us put together. This is a superintendent's message, state of the schools, and this got mailed out to every household in the greater Hermosa area. We really wanted to reach out to people who don't have kids in our schools, that maybe don't know the impact of what's been happening. There are QR codes in here that will take you to HBF so folks can donate, takes them to learn more about our bond program, learning about QR codes that take you to our curriculum so parents can see that. So we're really proud of that. So I know Rachel said she got it in the mail, so check your
I got
mail.
mine in the mail today too.
Awesome. Thank you. That's it for me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. You really,
Pretty.
very kudos to the team. That's beautiful. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Moving on to action items. Hang on one sec, let me get. Okay. 11.1 Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Hermosa Beach Police Department, and Beach Cities Health District. Dr. Wilds.
Yes, so we are currently in the process of applying for fiscal year 2026. It's called the COPS grant. This is a federal grant, school violence prevention program. So it's this federal money that can be awarded to school districts in order to enhance school safety across all three of our schools. As a part of the grant application, we would recommend approving a memorandum of understanding with both the city, the police department, and Beach Cities Health District for all of the work and the cooperation they do to really kind of coordinate community-wide collaboration and their commitment to our school safety. Staff recommend you approve this MOU to move forward with our partner agencies for approval.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Start with you, Rachel.
He's pounding in the jail cell.
Carol?
Nope.
Jen?
No.
And Maggie?
Thank you for doing the outreach on a federal grant. It's really tricky to do. It's a big lift. So kudos to the team for doing that. And thank you to HBPD and BCHD for their partnership and the quick response.
And for doing it so fast.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah, very fast turnaround.
Okay, so,
And it also helps save some money if we get it. So,
Yes,
right?
this
So
can
just
offset,
go to
yeah,
the Measure
so whatever
HB.
monies we get from this grant, I can then redirect some of this Measure HB to other security measures, so.
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So can I get a motion to approve item 11.1?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Whoever you guys want to pick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, item 11.2, ratification of contract addendum with District Advocates Group, DAG, for fiscal year 2026 COPS School Violence Prevention Program, SBPP, grant writing services. Dr. Wilds.
Yes, so I would love to claim that I was able to turn this grant around in 11 days, but that is not a true statement. So I want to thank my new best friend, Aurora Thompson, who is a consultant for District Advocates Group. So this is an addendum to our current DAG contract to provide the district with very specialized grant writing services that are outside of our current agreement. So this support would included drafting and formatting for the DOJ requirements, which are very, very specific, developing the budget workshop and narrative, and then working with me to synthesize all of our district information and all of our supporting documentation. I could not have turned this around, and it was literally due on Tuesday, so.
Yeesh. Okay,
Remind us, Susan, how much we could get in the grant?
Anywhere up to, sorry, it sounds like someone's banging on the wall behind
If
you.
someone is banging.
Sorry. I'm just very distracted. These federal grants could be as anywhere between like $100,000 to $500,000.
And so just, I think it's a great use of money because
100%,
we
yeah.
get the grant, which the woman who's helping us write these seems to have a good.
She has a
track record.
very high track record of
Good,
getting
yeah.
this grant.
Good.
I have a stupid question.
No stupid question.
Oh, there is. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Do we ever write grant contracts or write a contract for someone to write a grant for us where there's some kind of incentive in there? If we actually get a grant over so much, your grant, the contract goes, I mean, is that a thing where it's a sliding scale based on
can,
the
yeah.
success of the grant?
It can be. Yeah, it can be.
this
I've, yeah, for the most part, smaller grants like the Project Lead the Way grant, I just wrote myself, right? Some grants are fairly easy for a single entity to write. This one is so intricate in what they want, how they want it, what they want the documentation to see, and the rules to it. So in this case, we didn't, because we just wanted it fast. Yeah, and she has a track record of being very successful.
I mean, and the contract isn't, I mean, it's what, under 13K
Yeah.
for her to write it.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there's a way to, if we've ever written one to say, you'll get the 12,500 if we get the grant. If we don't get the grant, you're only going to get the 11K.
Yeah.
That I
It
don't,
could be, I'll be honest, I won't
That's
probably
not-
contract with many people because I can write grants.
Oh.
But this one was above, we could have done this one. I couldn't have turned it around in the timeline that they needed with the start of school.
and now
Yeah.
we have someone that we know is a proven entity, is very competent at doing this.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can hopefully knock
Yeah,
on wood, get the
knock on
grant.
wood, let's get some money.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion on this? No? Can I get a motion to approve 11.2? Great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item 11.3, approval of HBCSD master plan for English learners. Ms. Gluck.
The master plan has been updated in line with federal and state requirements. It's recommended that the board approve the Hermosa Beach City School District master plan for English learners.
Cool. Questions? Looks like you have
I
one.
do have a question. Can you, is this a new process or is this an update from an existing process?
It's an update that we've updated to align the reclassification to ensure that it aligns with new report cards and state testing standards.
Oh, Rachel, you have anything? Anybody over here, down here at this end? Do we have any questions? I'm just gonna- I'm like a
I am
teacher.
super supportive of the HBCSD master plan. I am just quibbling over our use of the Manhattan Beach Pier logo on the front cover.
You will notice that has already been changed. For the handbook, listen, I'm going to speak to the Ed Services team and tell them to get on it. Ed Services team, you should fix that.
Thank you. I have. All right, with that change, can we get a motion to approve item 11.3?
I motion to approve item 11.3.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 11.4, DSA Inspector of Record, IOR for review portables, Ms. Montalvo.
Thank you. Hermosa View School Portables installation is going to need an IOR, which is an inspector of record that writes a report once the portables are installed and submits it to DSA. This is a one-time cost not to exceed $24,000. Staff recommends that the agreement with Nolan Construction be approved.
Thank you. Down here, do we have any discussion? Discussion or questions? Do we?
I do. Did this include an additional cost for, didn't we have to survey for the pads or is this a different portable?
This is totally
Different,
different. No,
okay.
same
Same
portables,
portables.
two different things though.
Mhm.
We had to get a surveyor in. By the way, thank you, Jay Petch, for like hustling, got a surveyor in there within 24 hours, was able to survey and mark all the corners, the portables, and he should be rolling in tomorrow morning.
Just so you guys also know, like these people, the people who are providing us these portables, thank God we are on this, like we're getting refurbished ones and they're coming because
Yes.
everyone else not getting them.
Yeah, portables are
So
just
let's
sitting.
just pray
stuck.
to the
Yeah.
portable gods.
New portables are very, very back ordered. So this buying them, getting them, refurbishing them, ours are done. I have a really pretty picture of them. But no, so the surveyor was just to physically mark the blacktop so that the corners would be set as according to the plan. This is so that once they're done, hooked up and ready to roll, they'll write the report and submit it to DSA to close out. This would be a closeout service.
Or did we have to, I mean, I'm assuming we have to pay, we had to pay for that surveyor. Was
Yeah,
that
it was
already out
minimal.
of? okay.
No, it was minimal. Yeah.
With an existing contractor that we used on the earlier part of the project here at Valley, DCM or DMC.
Carol, any questions? Anybody? Okay, can I get a motion to approve item 11.4? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 11.5, ratify summer 2026 Piana Construction and Maintenance, Inc. agreement and CUP CCAA participation. Ms. Montalvo.
So we ran this project through the CUPCA program. Hermosa View required some painting and patching over the summer. So we contracted with Piana Construction, who has done work for us 2 previous summers. So the recommendation is that the board ratify the agreement with Piana Construction.
Okay, questions? Anybody down here? Yes.
So is it possible that we, I think as a board, think through our budgeting, maybe if even just for in future, is we're going to have these upkeep
Yeah.
costs. I believe because we're trying to do these buildings in such a cost efficient way that sometimes the materials aren't like 100-year materials and paint
Yes.
needs to happen. And
Yeah. So we do have a deferred maintenance budget that we can go into in a little bit more.
I wonder if we
detail.
might need
Yeah.
to boost that a little
Yeah.
now that we know that costs are.
Yeah. And we do know when some of the things, just, doing some reminders to staff, there's ways to put things on walls that don't do damage, right? And they're, so we did not anticipate having to repaint these classrooms as early as we've had to do. So, but we agree with you.
And 3% of our total budget is put into the routine maintenance account. It's a required donation or contribution to that fund every year so that there is money to do upkeep. A lot of times we do it in-house, but there was just too much
Sure.
painting work to be done this summer by our own staff.
But do you think that over the course of, I feel like the last 20 or 30 years, materials in schools have just been built with a little more, I would say, shoddy material than bricks and, really sturdy materials compared to what maybe we used.
Yeah, we can kind of take a look at how we've spent that deferred maintenance and see if we need to increase. that.
Sometimes it might just be deferred maintenance is that's what we just have to do. We have to, mop the
Right.
floors and
Right.
do those things. But this is I was surprised.
We were too. The wear and tear on these classrooms was much higher than what we would have expected. But interesting, not all of them needed the same level of, had same wear and tear.
That
So
was
we felt
my
like
question
different
about, do we have a policy now? I mean,
We do.
for mine, it's training. I mean, in my,
Yeah.
I'll admit my office at where I am now, I put some things on the door.
Yeah.
And when I took them off, I'm like, I will pay for this. I
Yeah.
had no idea it was going to do
Yeah.
this to the door because I thought doors were made in a more sturdier way than this.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think part of it's just an education and training of our staff because they're doing amazing things. They want to put up great visual aids for our students.
Mhm.
I get it.
We put
But
together a
just-
safety, just a kind of a safety guideline, just saying, hey, if you're going to put things on the walls, please use, there's very specific wall putty you can use that works really, really well. It won't pull drywall using blue tape. Certain types of 3M tapes can come off really, really simply, but we've had other things where people put just a lot of packing tape or duct tape and duct tape over.
Takes everything off.
It takes
Yeah.
everything off, including the drywall. So then that requires patching before you have to paint it. Things like if you're going to put things on the windows, which is amazing, please use putty, please use blue tape. Don't use packing tape because packing tape with the sun melts onto the glass
It
and
also peels off the tinting if you have.
it peels off the tinting, right? So it's just some general reminders is that we send out to teachers, just hey, as you're getting your classrooms ready, please use X or Y, don't use Z, right?
It might,
Do we provide that for them?
And we told the
putty
principals,
stuff?
if you need to buy 20 rolls of blue painter's tape, buy 20 rolls of blue painter's tape.
it might be worth passing that along to our PTO as well, because they do things like
Yeah.
decorating doors for
Yeah, the
teachers.
doors really took a hit. And the walls outside, it was
Second
dim.
Jen's comment
Yeah.
though on looking at the rates and fees on that, but I also just want to caveat, just having built a house during the pandemic, like workmanship during the pandemic did go sideways, right? Like it is hit or miss in terms of like the level and quality and inspection
Yeah.
levels. Plus we were
Yeah.
competing with SOFI.
And sometimes it's just like sharing with staff, like, hey, when the outside of the 700 building does not have the type of material where, it's, wood, whatever the material is, but the paint is meant X type of paint. So if you're going to put name tags on, do it with X versus,
Yeah, my old,
don't use Gorilla Glue. Yeah.
my old classroom had, most of the walls were bulletin board.
Yeah.
I could
yeah.
just staple into it.
Yeah,
so
and we
there
do
was no
think
dent.
some of the, value engineering that has to happen during bond, that maybe some of those tack boards didn't get put in, so that might be something to consider in.
It's probably
putting some
cost more
tack boards.
cost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
at some point, just by the bulletin.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, my whole classroom was bulletin
Yeah.
boards. It was-
Because ultimately, it's saving the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, we agree.
All right, any other discussions? Right, can I get a motion to approve 11.5?
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm moving on to 11.6, ratify agreement with, I don't know how to say this, McCown Construction. Ms. Montalvo.
Yes, we brought McCowan Construction in to handle doing some, moving our portables, laying a foundation for the tough sheds to be moved. They craned all of those over there. That happened last week. It was amazing to see the pictures that Jay provided. So recommendation is that the board, this was also through the CUPCA program, so we didn't require bids, ratify the contract with McCowan Construction that really pulled it off for us.
Awesome. Any other discussion questions? Nope. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item 11.7, accept for filing the joint initial proposal from the district and Hermosa Beach Educators Association. Dr. Wiles.
Yes, so in accordance with Government Code 3547, the Board of Education is asked to accept for public filing the joint initial proposal between the Hermosa Beach City School District and the Hermosa Beach Educators Association so that we can begin negotiations for a successor collective bargaining agreement. This step is a legal requirement that ensures transparency in the negotiating process by making the initial proposals available for public review. Staff recommend you accept the joint proposals for filing.
Great. Questions? Anywhere? Nope. Can I get a motion to approve item 11.7? Can I? Second? Thank you. All in favor? All right, that concludes the action items portion of the agenda. We will now move on to the board member roundtable. But before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to remember George Schmelzer, a longtime and devoted advocate for the Hermosa Beach community. George gave generously of his time, energy, and passion to making our community a better place, and his contributions will not be forgotten. We extend our deepest condolences to his family, friends, and all those who had the privilege of knowing him. Please join me in a moment of silence in George's memory. Okay, thank you. We'll continue. Any board member roundtable going from Maggie? Yes, start there.
Round of poker. Wanted to give a huge kudos to PTO that is working overtime, even though the kids aren't back yet. They've started off all their formal activities today, and it was just so great to see campus clean and humming and getting ready for the kids. My mother did 50 years in higher ed, and she'd always throw a "Here They Come" party. So it's kind of like that same sentence. There's excitement, there's snap to me, to the school board members at different times where he endorsed Measure S and he endorsed Measure Q, and he supported Stephen and was giving kudos to Patty Ackerman when she stepped down. So there's been so many times that George has made an impact on this board and in this community. So I'm grateful we could close in honor of him tonight.
Great. Jen.
I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that up at Vista, that turf patch is not going to be beautiful by the time school starts. And this may take our entire community to talk to people that are on the council, the Coastal Commission. It may take our families in the community to call people that are on the Coastal Commission to support. We have done everything the Coastal Commission has asked us to do for this tiny patch of turf that is probably no bigger than this room. It is the most maddening experience. It is taking money out of our general fund, and we need more support, I think, at this point to make this happen. And I know that we have people in our community that sit on the Coastal Commission that might need to have other people give persuasive comments to make this happen. But I don't want everyone to go to school on the first day of school thinking that is going to be a nice green patch of turf that we have waited, how long now? Years?
2 years, two
Yeah,
years.
so it's maddening.
Mhm.
And I think that as families, you're allowed to express your frustration with that and see if we can make it move forward somehow. So they have all the materials they need at the Coastal Commission to make this decision. It needs to get on their agenda as soon as possible. And we need support from the community. So this is our beginning of Need the Support campaign, but we do have members in our community. Ray Jackson sits on the Coastal Commission, so we know a lot of people know how to reach Ray and could give him a perspective and just see if he could.
He's aware.
Yeah, so it's okay if he's aware from us, but I think the community needs to join in and say it's a sense of urgency. Yeah, it's not okay that we still are, it's not on Ray, it's just he's on that commission. It's like, so it can get on their agenda so he can ask or other people
But
can
in his
ask.
defense, he is one person on that commission. So
Totally,
everyone telling,
totally.
bugging Ray to bring this up, he is getting bugged at home and he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to eat dessert until that's.
I know. I just think
So
it'd
I
be
think-
great to bring it off of you and put it on the community to also be like, it's a
Yes.
sense of urgency.
But there
I-
is, the Coastal Commission does have an email address online.
Okay,
and
well,
we can
should
flood them
we
with
should
it.
flood
Flood
that.
them,
Yeah,
sure.
It's just at this point, it's a little silly. Yeah. I'm not saying it's just on Ray by any means, but I do think that we could, as a community, give them a lot more information of like how it's urgent.
It costs us a lot of money to reseed and regrow that grass every year for it to die within 30 days. So, ooh, tens of thousands of dollars. It's a lot.
Coastal Commission to
And-
pay for that.
And the,
Yeah.
and the permit was 60K or so, correct?
Yeah.
All right, Carol.
I don't have too much on the round table other than everyone should feel sorry for me. I have to go to the East Coast tomorrow and take my daughter back to college. Oh, okay, don't feel sorry for it's a lovely life experience, but and the other thing I had was, are you waiting for us to give direction on pulling June, July, August birth dates, or are we good on that for the TK discussion?
I'll give you some more. I'll put some more information in the Friday update.
I thought there was a comment on it needed to be brought up at roundtable, so
Only
this
if
is
you want
me
to put an
bringing it up
action-
on
yeah,
roundtable.
Only if you
Okay.
you want to put forward an action item. So
Got
I'll
it.
have more information that
Okay.
I'll pull the numbers. Just give me a
Okay.
couple weeks and then I'll work with the board
All
president.
right,
Yeah.
thank you for
No.
doing all that work already.
No worries.
No. Rachel?
I don't disagree at all with my esteemed colleague that it's infuriating that it's taken this long to get an approval for turf to be put in on a very small area at our school. I think it highlights the fact that the Coastal Commission, which does great work because we don't have, there are a lot of things that could be built right off our coast that aren't built because they help protect it. However, if we had a local plan for the Coastal Commission, which is something our city council could actually proactively do, we wouldn't have to go through these hoops to have to go to an entity.
Second that,
that's-
Rachel.
That's fighting Elon Musk, who's suing the Coastal Commission of the state of California because he wants to shoot more rockets off that then could come down and hurt us and hurt our coast. And they're also now entering into litigation possibly against the federal government who's trying to remove authority for us to manage our own coast. They've got huge things to deal with. They shouldn't be worrying about a frickin' small patch of turf here in Hermosa Beach, but that's on city council for not having a local plan to deal with our own
Absolutely.
environmental issues. So I would like to say flood I am flooding Ray Jackson's email, believe me, and more, but flood the Coastal Commission's email box that, they need to get this done. It's ridiculous that we've waited this long. But number two, we can prevent having to go through this 2-year rigmarole if our city council gets on it and not only stops the construction during our meeting, which our meetings are only, oh, the jail. Oh, maybe it's not construction. Okay. Scratch that. But I would,
Oh, my God.
I know our city council is busy and they have a lot on their plate, but this long-term planning for having our own accountability plan for dealing with the coastal issues would relieve a lot of pressure points for this community. Thanks.
Wow, good job, guys. Okay, so moving on to the calendar. August 17th, yay, as Maggie brought out, first day back for teachers. August 19th, first day back for students. August 27th, Hermosa Valley Back to School Night, minimum day for Valley only. August 28th, which is also my birthday, HVPTO Back to School Picnic at Hermosa Valley. And then in September, we have September 1st, Hermosa Vista Back to School Night, minimum day for Vista only. September 3rd, Hermosa View Back to School Night, minimum day for View only. September 7th, Labor Day holiday, campus closed. September 9th, school board meeting here. And September 21st, local school holiday, no school. And I think that's it. Hang on.
That's it until September.
That's it for the, yeah.
in September.
That's it for this evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? And second,
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
And thank you. The meeting is adjourned.